One of the major benefits of being a nonprofit is that you get to utilize volunteers. And who wouldn't love free labor and a bunch of people coming along to help you in supporting your mission? But more often than not, I see nonprofits actually struggle with how to utilize volunteers. It actually can take more of your time to manage all of these people and trying to teach them about your mission, trying to teach them how to do things. And at the end of the day, sometimes you can feel like it would have just been easier if I did all of this myself. And then you have people that want to get involved and you don't really have the time to tell them how to get involved. And it can be a big mess because you know that you need more capacity. You know that you need more people doing more things. But the whole training and holding hands and all of that, you just don't have time for. So I totally get it. That's why today we are going to talk about actually launching a volunteer program so that you can have a streamlined process where you're not sitting there having to handhold all the time. And also people are getting engaged in your mission. They're getting buy-in. They're getting a sense of belonging in your mission. And you do not need to feel at all like these people don't know what to do or you weren't able to engage them because you have a solid program that you're entering them into. Let's talk about it. Welcome to episode 74 of For Purpose Live, where I help you get clear, get focused, and be impactful simply by showing you how to step fully into that calling that you've been given without taking on that common narrative that nonprofits need to struggle. That's right. Together we can get you in your sweet spot using your strengths and your talents to serve this world and build a movement of support for your cause simply by living for purpose on purpose. I'm your host, Rebecca Britt, and today we are talking about volunteer management. Before we get started, I have completely reinvented the strategic planning process with my impact roadmap. And if you are finally ready to get clear, get focused, and be impactful, and also make sure that you are measuring the things that matter and you're able to demonstrate your impact, then head on over to forpurposelive.com/impact to check out that impact roadmap. All right, so if you are a nonprofit that can and wants to use volunteers, we are not just going to manage them, okay? We are going to create a volunteer program. And this program should be as robust and structured as your client programs or the programs that you have for your mission. The purpose of this program is to build capacity and an army of support for your mission. If your volunteers are not building your capacity, so helping you get more done, something is missing, okay? If you have volunteers that you feel like are actually clogging up your time, and yes, you're telling everybody about your mission and you're helping them get their charity hours or their feel-good moments because they get to give in the community, but you don't feel like you got anything more done, then something is missing because volunteers are there to build your capacity, to maximize what you can do in an hour, okay? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And also, if you have volunteers that come on and maybe they do help your capacity, maybe they work really hard and they help you get things done, but they don't know about your mission and your values and they're not set on fire about your cause, then something's missing as well, because nobody should be coming and doing work for our organization without really catching the fire that we have for the population that we serve. So how do we create a volunteer program that we feel good about and everybody knows exactly what they're supposed to do when? Well, I'm going to go through 6 steps to show you how right now. So step 1, you're going to want to determine your opportunities. You need volunteers to help you with what? Now, as an organization, you might have several different things that people need to help you with, and you might want to plug different volunteers into different things. But let's first determine those opportunities. So are you a place that is like an animal rescue that has chores that need to be done? Do you run events? Do you run groups where you need volunteers to come set up the group and then tear down the group? Do you do booths out in the community where you actually go out and you sit at a booth and you give people awareness materials about your cause? Do you run blood drives? What do you do and what are the opportunities that you have for volunteers? Maybe they just need to be out on the street doing community outreach. Whatever those opportunities are, figure out the opportunities that you have. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, well, I need somebody to do my social media and I need an electrician to fix these things and I really want them to be volunteer because it's for a charitable cause, those are not what we're talking about with a program, okay? Those are very one-off things, and those are things that really you probably should have paid staff for or a contractor for, but if you don't, they're not going to fall into a volunteer program. Those are very specific roles that you are going to have to do a little bit more training or hand-holding with or vetting, and you'll have to, it won't work for a broad amount of volunteers. But if you have regular things that you can engage volunteers in, even creating pamphlets, like whatever you need volunteers to do that are the small things that you just don't want to take up your time doing, then those are the opportunities you have. Somebody will have to manage the volunteers. So I suggest starting very small with a couple opportunities. One mistake that I see nonprofits make is they listen to a volunteer, tell them about their skills and their interests, and then they try to find an opportunity for that volunteer that matches their skills and interests. We're not doing that. What do you need help with? What are the opportunities you want people to be involved in? Those are your opportunities. If there's a whole bunch, but you're like, I don't know that we can manage all that, then just limit your scope and have the couple opportunities that you have. So excited that you're ready to volunteer. We have these 2 opportunities, and that way you have somebody that can manage those people. There might be one program director that's going to manage these volunteers and another program director that manages these volunteers, or you have a volunteer lead that manages the volunteers on one project and you have a different volunteer lead that's going to manage volunteers on another project. So just understanding who is going to need to buy into this volunteer program because they are going to be tracking and keeping up with and managing the volunteers. So now that you have your opportunities, we want to map out our volunteer pathway. So think right from the beginning. How do people find you? Where are they getting the idea that they're going to volunteer for you? And we want to streamline and automate this process as much as possible. So when somebody reaches out via email and says, oh my gosh, I love this. I'd love to come and I have real strong ideas of what I can do for your organization and and here's my background and here's my resume and all of this stuff, you can put them into the same pathway that you would put everybody else into, which is, I am so glad that you reached out. Here is our volunteer application. Here is our orientation that we do. And here's the process for getting involved. Now, we all want committed, reliable volunteers, right? So a lot of times people are good at intaking volunteers, getting volunteers set up, but then volunteers come or they go and you can't count on volunteers. And it's a myth that you can't count on volunteers. If you have volunteers that are flaky or not committed, it is because you did not set that up as a requirement within your program. So you want to map out exactly how are they going to come to you and what is your response along the way. So if they come to you via the website, what are you going to do? There's an application form. If they come to you via email, you're going to send them the application form. The application form is going to trigger the next thing, and you have to respond to them within 48 hours. Now, the step that I'm going to talk about next is everyone gets an orientation. So rather than a volunteer application, one easy way that you can do this is to set up an orientation. So you can say the first Saturday of every month, we do an orientation. Come to that. Like, I don't want to hear about how amazing you are or what you're going to do for us until you prove that you're going to show up to an orientation. Everybody has to go through this orientation. Okay, so maybe you don't even send them to an application, but maybe you first say, come to this orientation. Maybe you don't even have them fill out an application until they've done the orientation because you really want to see that people are committed and willing to come to the orientation before you jam up your paperwork with people that filled out an application and never even came to the orientation. Now, for an orientation, this is like whatever you need to tell them about your mission, about your values, about your facility, about what you do, about what they are going to be doing. Now, if you can think of one of your opportunities, so let's say you are a animal rescue, and there are people that want to work with the goats. There are people that want to work with the horses. There are people that want to be a booth volunteer and go out and speak about your cause in the community. There are people that want to be on an advisory board. Like, there's all these types of things that people want to do for you. It doesn't matter. Everybody comes and does an orientation, and let's think of an opportunity that everybody could do. So in this scenario of like an animal rescue, everybody has to do chores. You do not get to do any other opportunity unless you have come and you've seen our animals and you've taken care of our animals and you've learned what goes on at our facility. So you're going to hear about the animal stories. You're going to clean up their pens. You're going to feed them and make sure they're taken care of. And only after you've done a certain amount of things can you move on to the desired volunteer positions or higher volunteer positions. So your orientation may go over your facility, or let's say that you're like a mobile crisis unit or something, or like you go out into the community and you give people experiencing homelessness showers and toiletries and stuff like that. Maybe you have an orientation once a month, every first Saturday. Whoever shows up. You have them show up and you teach them all about your mobile unit. They get to see the mobile unit. You teach them about outreach. And then all they have to do for that day is actually like bag up toiletries that they're going to give out. So you have them bag toiletries, and that is the low level volunteer thing that everybody's going to do before they go on and be an ambassador, before they start doing the on the street work that they would like to do, before they start running groups for you or setting up groups or working at events. They are going to come and do this simple shift of maybe taking an inventory of donations, organizing them, putting them together. Think of something that everybody can do, and you're going to make everybody do that thing, because while they're doing that thing, they're realizing the truth of what you do. They're seeing the ground level of what you do, and they're also learning about your mission and all of that. So one other thing about an orientation is, let's say that you don't have a facility or it's just not like that. You can always tell people that they need to do an orientation online. And I am a huge fan of online education. So you can do a video just like I'm doing here, and you can put it on YouTube as unlisted so that it's not public if you want. And you can have people watch a video about your mission, what it means to be a volunteer, what they're buying into, what their pathways are. If you're not going to do an in-person orientation, people should still be learning about what it means to be a volunteer in your organization, what the opportunities are, what you're going to expect of them, what they need to do before they can move on to other opportunities. Okay. So you can do online education with anything, if you do Teachable or Thinkific, some of these bigger platforms, they're really nice because they're like education platforms that can email the person a certificate of completion and let you know, yes, they're done their volunteer training. Whereas if you just send somebody to a YouTube video, you have no way to prove that they watched it or not. So just think about if incorporating an education platform would be helpful for you. I like using education platforms for board training. So before you become a board member, this is what you need. Before you become a staff member, before you become a volunteer, and there's different lessons that they need to go through about the mission, about how we carry ourselves, about what we believe in, about the pillars and our focus areas, about what their specific role is going to be, about our systems and processes and our workflows. When people get something that's like that in all package, they're like, not only do they know what they're getting into, they know that this is an organization that has taken the time to really invest in their community and the people that are going to be ambassadors for their mission. So I know that it sounds like, oh my gosh, Rebecca, you're telling me I need to like create all of this stuff and I need to come up with these videos and I don't even, but you never need to do it again. Like this video right now that I'm shooting will be alive and giving you all of this amazing stuff. And it only takes me 30 minutes to shoot it. Okay. So yeah, it's 30 minutes one time, but I'm glad that I don't need to tell everybody every time this same thing. So if you're in a position to send amazing information out to people and you can record it once. Okay. That's all I'm going to say about that. But if you're a place that can have physical volunteers come to you, which will be most people that are looking for a volunteer management program, then have that orientation and have the base level volunteer opportunity that they are going to engage in. Okay, so like the chores, putting packets together, cleaning, anything that's just like everybody has to do this. This is kind of the base level thing that we need to do. Okay, then you're going to create volunteer levels. So if there are people that want to go do community outreach, or they want to head up groups, or they want to do something different for you, they are going to first do the bagging of the toiletries, right? And the levels will be based on how many times they show up. So if they show up 5 times, then they can go from being green level to yellow level. And then they can go to purple or gold level after that. And it may be different levels get you different opportunities or get you a different level of responsibility. So maybe all you can do is manage the line of people coming into the food kitchen. If you're green and you greet people and you say welcome and you get them a place to sit and all of that. But then when you move up to yellow, you can actually serve people food. And when you move up from that, you may be able to actually be like a team lead or a volunteer head that gets to actually open the kitchen up, like start the meals, all of that, do more cooking. So there should be levels to this, and everybody again should start at the bottom level, and they're going to prove to you through commitment and through showing up to those shifts that you can rely on them and that you would even want to spend more time teaching them to now take on a higher level of something, which will probably include more training, but they've proven to you, right, that they can show up, that they care about your mission, that they get it, and that they're saying, now I would like an opportunity to take even more off your plate. And so that's a volunteer that you would want to give an opportunity. Now, maybe after 5 sessions, they just move up a level and you just know that they are committed and nothing really changes about their role except for the fact that they're committed. And what you can do with this is, let's say every volunteer that comes gets like a paper, one of those stickers that says, hi, my name is. Well, they just like write one and they put it on there. I like those. I like having name tags at all times. They're a great way for people to show ownership in being somewhere, writing down their name. Yes, I'm here. I'm putting it here. It's like making a declaration, but also it's always nice to be able to know people's names. If you have clients or other people in the space that they're serving, it's nice for them to know that they're a volunteer. Now, new volunteers get the stickers because that's what you get when you're showing up for your first couple times. But if you've shown up for 5 shifts or 10 shifts, make it however many you think that somebody has shown to you that they're committed, then we actually print them off a cardstock name tag that has their name, and maybe it has a yellow background or a background that shows that they've leveled up. And you're just going to get one of those clear name badge holders with the little clips, and you're going to put that name badge in there. So now they are like, not only do they know they're working towards something, but now they have more of a permanent fixture in your organization. So you can leave these on trees, on a wall, on somewhere in your facility, or have people keep them themselves and bring them. But you're showing them that they got something tangible that says, hey, we've seen your commitment. You've stayed here. Now you've moved up a level and you get a name badge that has this color. If they move up another level, then their name badge can change colors as well. So you want to have there be levels, and at every level, think about what you can streamline again. So I have managed volunteers that want to become a booth volunteer. But before we send somebody out to manage our booth, they need to know how to set the booth up. They need to know how to break the booth down. They need to know we don't want somebody sitting there with a bunch of our awareness materials and just letting people walk by and they're manning the booth. No, like we want to give them talking points. We want to make sure that they put these 2 rack cards in everybody's hands that walks by, and that they really promote our next event that's coming up or volunteer opportunities. So they need to be given all of those talking points, everything that we think matters. And so maybe it is they go with somebody who is seasoned at doing booths for their first time. Maybe they watch a training or a video that you've done that has actual diagrams of this is how you set up the booth. These are the things we're promoting at the booth. Maybe you practice with them, or you have them practice with somebody how to promote certain items. But really think about what needs to happen before I let this person go out into the world and do this job that I have a hard time letting control of go, which I totally get that. But with the right training, you can set people up for success, and then you don't have the stress that they didn't get what they needed. And the worst thing you can do with a volunteer is make them feel ill-equipped and overwhelmed. Okay, so we're going to make them feel like you've totally got this. And you know what will make them feel that way? The fact that they've been back at your facility or in your programs doing the smaller stuff, like they've gotten to know people's names, they've gotten to know your mission, they can actually speak to their experience of doing some of the lower level or entry level jobs because they've done them. Everybody has to do them, and it puts everybody on an equal playing field. So you definitely want to create those volunteer levels and decide what opportunities open up for them when they go into new levels. Okay. So think of like, what are the benefits of each level and how do you work towards that? And you'll know if you get a lot of volunteers that want to do something, but you can't just throw them into that, then that would be one of your levels. And what are they going to need to do for you to kind of prove that they can be trusted with that responsibility? Okay. And step 5 is to develop a tracking system and workflows. So you're going to need to track this some way, right? So when people come to your orientation, they have to sign up in some way. I do not want you interacting with anybody in the community without gathering at least their email address for your newsletter and their name. Okay. So you're going to take in their information. I don't care if this is a paper sign up sheet. I don't care if you have them scan a QR code and fill out an application real quick while they're at the orientation. But this is something that you can start tracking. Okay. Who came? Who actually showed up? So I love the QR code form tracking system because while everybody's waiting for new people to show up, you can have them signing in. And you can tell them, this is the only way I'm going to be able to email you information afterwards and all of that. So the more that you can put on the volunteer to do their own tracking, the better, unless they're not doing it. Okay, so you need to make sure that you have ways when they're showing up to shifts. Are they signing up online? Are you tracking them when they come in the door? How are you inputting that they've done 5 shifts? And that they've graduated. And you can do this as easy as a Google Doc, and you can have a color-coded cell or a Google Sheet, and you can put each person as a new line on the sheet and how many sessions they've showed up for and what color volunteer are they and what are they ready for. And you will have to have workflows where different staff members or different even volunteer leads input this data as well, because this shouldn't just fall on you or shouldn't just fall on one person. If I have somebody helping me over at booths and somebody else has somebody helping them over in another program, then the lead of that program should be the one entering the volunteer data. So just think about the workflows that you have for this program from the beginning to the end. All right. How are you tracking sessions? How are you making sure that like on their 5th shift that they've done, that you know that on their 6th, you're supposed to be giving them a name tag? Like think through, how are you going to get notified? And this could be as easy as at the end of every shift going into a Google Sheet and printing off the people that have graduated. Whatever you come up with, you have to come up with a workflow that makes sure that you are tracking who did what when. Now, of course, there's more robust volunteer tracking systems out there, but having these systems in place will be really helpful. And just make a note for yourself or a meeting on your calendar that says that you're going to review the volunteer program once a week or something, and go into that sheet and make sure you know who did what, who showed up, and make it what works for you. But you definitely need a tracking system, and then workflows for the team. So make sure that this is all written out, and you can use AI to help you with a workflow of, so are they sent the application? What day is the orientation? Who's sending that email? What is the copy and paste email verbiage? Or can I make it an automated email after they do an application? How do they know how to sign up on Sign Up Genius for shifts? What are all the steps? Write them out in a workflow so that everybody can see how they work, and you can know exactly how you're supposed to be handling this program. All right. And step 6 is the fun part: volunteer highlights and continued engagement. So now you've got people coming in the pipeline. You've got them getting the core, the heart of your program, understanding your mission, your vision, your values. They are working in the entry-level jobs that you need them to do. Everybody's doing that and building up their knowledge of the truth of what you do. People are moving through the program and becoming different levels, taking on more responsibility, possibly even just becoming a lead. So to the point where you don't even need to oversee the shifts anymore. You can train people up. They're doing the orientation now. They are managing the shifts. If there's like an AM and a PM shift, maybe you just have shift leads. Well, the way you become a lead is you have to do 25 sessions, or you have to pass some sort of test. You might need to see that people know certain safety methods, or people know what they're doing. So maybe you need to have a test for them to graduate. All of that is things that you can figure out with your workflow. But as this is working, you really want to make sure that you maximize your volunteer program with the community, meaning you're getting enough people to understand how amazing your volunteers are, and that you give them kudos so that other people will want to join your mission as well. So how do you do this? Well, once a month, you can do Volunteer of the Month, which your volunteer can actually write the blog post for you. So you can say, hey, you're Volunteer of the Month. You can send them like 4 questions. Why did they want to volunteer there? What has their experience been like? What's been one rewarding moment that they can share? Just a few questions. They're going to write their responses back, and then you can use AI to help you take all those responses and put it into a blog post. You can put that blog post in your newsletter and then let other people know that they can volunteer. Rather than just sitting there saying, volunteer, volunteer, we've got to come to our orientation. Tell people stories about people who came to you and now have become such a crucial part of your team, so that people are like, oh, I can fit in here. I think that we've all experienced volunteering somewhere where you know those people never knew your name. And they were just like, yeah, you can do this. And, you grabbed a shovel and you did it, or you started sorting papers, and you definitely weren't incentivized to come back. Okay. So we want engagement. We also want to do like just a nurture sequence through email. So when you first get a volunteer that comes to your orientation or reaches out, you're going to put them on your newsletter list, but people on your newsletter list should get a nurture sequence, which is just a sequence of emails that goes out automated at the beginning. So they don't just get your regular newsletters, but they get these first ones that are like, this is our mission. This is why we exist. This is our story. This is our background. These are our success stories. Okay. So now they're starting to learn, oh, okay, this is the organization I'm a part of. You can do volunteer achievement nights or volunteer appreciation nights. You can find ways to highlight your volunteers at events, and just make sure that they know. Maybe you're going to put out just a volunteer newsletter. that's highlighting all the people that were committed and moved from the green level to the yellow level. And you can get really fun with this. If you have like an environmental or a regenerative farming nonprofit, you could have your volunteer levels be like seed, sprout, tree, grove, or something like that. Like, make it really fun and make it branded so that people are like, yeah, I want to get to the grove level of volunteering here. And you know how people get about this stuff. Like, when you start giving people seniority, they take on more responsibility. They take it really seriously that they are somebody that can now teach the new people in. And you've really cultivated this environment where people want to pour into your next generation of volunteers. So make sure you're highlighting your volunteers. Tell the story. Use all of that. They are just like your clients or the people you serve or the mission that you have. They are people with stories too that are getting involved in this, and they show other people examples of how they can get involved. Okay, so let's just recap real quick. Step 1, you need to determine what are your opportunities. What are all the things that people could help you with in a manageable way? If you need to slim it down to just 1 or 2, do that. But what are the opportunities volunteers could help with? Step 2, map out your volunteer pathway. So from the moment that they reach out to you, how are they getting plugged in? What is the exact pathway that they need to take to start being in the pipeline of a new volunteer and a seasoned volunteer? Everyone gets an orientation. So I do not want to see any volunteers showing up that don't know about your facility, about your mission, about how you started, about your values, all of the things that make you you. People should be learning about, and people should be plugged into that entry-level volunteer opportunity. Then you're going to create volunteer levels. So after people have done a certain number of shifts at this level, what can they build into? As they show that they're committed, what more responsibilities can you give them? What are the new levels of opportunity that they can unlock as they become more and more committed to you? Then make sure you're developing your tracking systems and your workflows for the team. Exactly how are you tracking all of this? What are you going to use as a system to make sure that you don't tell people about all these levels and what they can achieve, but then you didn't even know it was their 5th time there? You want to be like going to them saying, dude, this is your 5th session. This means that you get to unlock these opportunities. Do you want to talk about which opportunity you want to go to? You have a yellow name badge. So next shift, do you want to talk about maybe doing some of these other opportunities? Okay. And then finally, make sure that you are continuing that engagement with volunteer highlights, appreciation nights, and ways that you can really raise up and highlight your volunteers' experience with that volunteer program. You can also make sure that you're demonstrating impact. So while you are having this tracking system, you can say out of all of your volunteers, 86% stay on for a certain amount of time. So you can start tracking your retention rates. And that's really important to donors and sponsors as well, that you have a program that people want to give to and that you have good retention of volunteers. So being able to track the progress of this program is just like tracking the progress of all of your other programs, so that you can show that you're structured, you're organized, and you are committed to demonstrating impact of all your programs, including the people that are giving to your mission. All right, if you're interested in that impact roadmap, don't forget to go over to forpurposelive.com/impact and learn how you can use a strategic plan to actually get yourself clear, focused, and demonstrating the impact of your programs, which is what donors and sponsors want to know. Please tell me in the comments if there was any step that you would like me to go deeper on. I'll do a video on that. Or just let me know if this video inspired you enough to go ahead and launch that volunteer program. Until next time, thank you so much for your service to this world.